Well, off the back of the end of today's episode, I've made my way through the entirety of the winter break, and we're back today to play two big games and hopefully keep ourselves up there near the top of the table. And we do so with a new contract here at Jahn Regensburg. We've got to rise from 5k up to 8.25k a week, and I realised that we never did house hunting here in Regensburg because we were still at Buxton when we took the job. So we better actually find a house before we get stuck into today's episode. And I think this is a place that we've been staying at and will continue to stay at, because obviously for €1,600 a month and with our wage now of £8.25 thousand a month, we should be able to afford this place quite comfortably and also buy our food and whatnot. So here's where we're staying here in Regensburg. It's an apartment. Apparently you can fit 1 to 5 people. It's a top location, 20 minutes from the city centre, 30 minutes from Valhalla, whatever Valhalla is. The highlights: an electric fireplace to a fake one, but no smoky, no asthma issues, and also a Nintendo Switch included. So to be fair, don't even need to take my PlayStation with me. We're sorted there with the Switch. Also TV with satellite connection, beautiful for watching all the other games in this vibe. Bundesliga, 2 bedrooms with 2 box spring beds. Probably could upgrade the beds with that wage that we're on, as well as the spring sofa. There's a balcony, there's a Weber gas barbecue, a workstation with curved monitors, beautiful when I need to stream some Football Manager, and also they've got an espresso coffee machine. They've got all sorts here. So I think this is the place that we've been staying at here in Regensburg. Unfortunately, I can't actually zoom in on the images, but you'll see them there as I go across the typical bedroom with the love wording in a weird little way there. Above the bed also, there's the TV. Can't quite see the curved monitor from that view there, but it's not the greatest lounge, but I guess it will do. Does look like there might be a little bit of an old school heater on the wall, but apparently the electric fireplace might be a little bit better. Can't exactly see where they're hiding the Switch. Maybe it's in that little cabinet. Going along further, there's the sofa, nice and cozy for the 1 bedroom manager life that we do have. So I dare say this is where we've been staying since we came to Germany. It's a little bit humble. We probably could splash out if we need to, but there's our house that we've had since we've come to Germany. Now let's get stuck in to what's happened during the winter break. Hello everyone and welcome back to episode number 49 of Rookie to Royalty here on Shaun Does FM with Jahn Regensburg. Hope you're doing well. And coming up today, we've got Greuther Fürth and Hannover off the back of the winter break, where there has been some transfers, and as I said in the intro, a little bit of managerial merry-go-round as well. So I hope you guys are looking forward to today's episode. This does come off back of the last one that we did play when we took on, from memory, Nuremberg as well as Bayern. We've done a fair bit since then, so if you missed that one, I'll leave a link to it over in the top right corner. We have 5 more games in this Bundesliga to make our way through. To be fair, they did look pretty easy on paper, and thankfully that is how it did play out for the most part. Start off there with a 3-1 win at home over Darmstadt when using the 4-2 3-1 backed up with a 3-0 win away at rock bottom Hansa Rostock. Then no, we suffered a defeat, the only one in that little 5-game stretch that we did have. It was 2-0 away at Hertha Berlin. Those guys do seem to just be a bit of a bogey team for us here at Jahn Regensburg. It was the case last season. We suffered that. Really, we have 4-0 defeat to them in the second half of the season. From memory, this time a 2-0 loss. So unfortunately, some unexpected drop points there, but then we bounced back 2-0 over Kaiserslautern and 4-0 over Dynamo Dresden. So that does mean that going into the winter break, we did sit in third, but as you can see, in a pretty nice spot, only 1 point off Mainz, who have already played on this match week and picked up a draw that was away at Dynamo Dresden and Nuremberg. They also have moved their way up a little bit more than they were before this match week, with a win there over Magdeburg. So it was quite tight there at the top of the table before the winter break. Fingers crossed today we can maybe jump above Mainz and get into one of those automatic promotion spots, but also worth noting a decent gap now back to the likes of Heidenheim and Hannover. So fingers crossed during the course of today's episode, these games here against Greuther Fürth as well as Hannover, we can maybe put a bit of a gap there on those teams outside, at least getting a chance to go up to the Bundesliga for next season to make sure that we'll be one of those 3 teams. But certainly looks like us, Nuremberg and Mainz, are a little bit clear of the rest here in the Zweite Bundesliga. And going into the second half of the season as well, there has been a little bit of managerial merry-go-round. Carsten Muller, he's joined Kaiserslautern that was from Erzgebirge. I think that was quite late last season. Let's actually check here what did happen at Kaiserslautern, but certainly a lot of new managers in the league. Indeed, he joined there. That was in November, so to be fair, that one was a little bit before the winter break, but there's certainly been a bit more movement than there usually is here in the save. Going back further, you've got there Michael Hartmann, who's gone from Braunschweig to Werder Bremen. Certainly an interesting move, because Werder Bremen, they sit in 14th, Eintracht Braunschweig all the way up in 6th. Werder Bremen, of course, were the preseason favourites, but still, that's a little bit surprising. And going back to where those manager changes had happened, from Wiesbaden, Jess Furup joins Magdeburg, and also Mrauka comes from Dynamo Dresden to Paderborn. So a couple there of mid-table teams with some management changes, so might need to keep an eye on that when we take those teams on here in the second half of the season. Maybe that might affect the shape we need to use when we take those teams on. Also popping up with jobs like Borussia Dortmund, that came up in my inbox, but we didn't apply and we didn't get it. So we're definitely still here at Jahn Regensburg. Obviously, we just showed you our house for the first time in a year and a half, and of course, got a nice little pay increase as well of about 3.25k, albeit after tax, not that much money. Actually didn't realise how bad the tax was here in Germany, but that contract does go through until the end of 2031. So if a team wants to get us now, they will need to probably give Jahn Regensburg a decent chunk of money, but it's gone pretty well off the back of yesterday's episode. And also, there's been some transfer business. A few players who are getting a little bit upset with their playing time here. So let's go check out what we have done. At the moment, bringing 3 new players in, letting go of 2 who previously were here at the club. In the most part, it was trying to replace those guys who did leave. So first off, Daniel Castillo was getting a bit sick of being the backup there to Carlos Manrique. So we sold him to FC Seoul. That might mean he can link up with Jesse Lingard. Might be a bit too late for that now in the save, but he's gone to Seoul. That was for a fee of 155k. We picked him up on a free, so don't mind that deal at all for our previous backup deep line playmaker there. To replace him, we've brought in Toby Collier from Derby County. A much bigger fee of 650k, but does look like a little bit of a better player and has a little bit of potential as well. So I think there we've improved our backup in behind Carlos Manrique in deep line playmaker or the box-to-box midfield if we are going to use that 4-3-3. And also got rid of Brian Hine. That was to Charles FC. And then there was a bit of a bidding war between them, and I think it might have been Dallas or one of the other MLS clubs. He went for 160k there, did our former third choice left back. We could definitely afford to let him go while there was some interest in him just before he was about to enter the final year of his contract next season. So Brian Hine, he did depart. Now, to be fair, with that left back situation, if we might go over to the squad planner, fingers crossed, it's already been sorted out here. Indeed it has. Paul Cooper looked better than anyone that we could afford on our shortlist. So he'll get called up from the B team if we need to use him as a left back, but certainly probably a bit more natural as a centre back. But for the rest of the season, he'll do the job as that third choice left back if we do need one. So we didn't actually need to spend any money there on someone coming in as an extra left back option for Brian Hine. Just that money spent there on Toby Collier. And also going back here to the transfers, hitting the back button enough times, a couple of youngsters we picked up on a free. Noah Pierre looks like a relatively promising striker out of Belgium at 16 years old. That good potential, so he was worth picking up there on a free, especially on that low wage contract. And also Floyd Samba comes in on a free. To be fair, we are looking to loan him out. That would be the Offenbacher Kickers. He's got good potential as well. Here's the midfielder come centre back out of England at 19 years old. So a couple there of nice pickups on a free to join our youth system. And also we've brought in the Collier to replace Castillo. But that's not all. If we go back here, the transfer centre, Pau Fernandez, there's a bit of interest in him from Mainz, and he actually wants to leave. Now, of course, this is quite interesting because Mainz are one of those contenders for one of those automatic promotion spots that we're going for here in this Bundesliga. But 3.5 million for this guy who we only spent 525k on as a backup right back, I think we'll take their money and run, truth be told. So Pau Fernandez might be on its way to Mainz, fingers crossed. Doesn't give away too many secrets there, does the Spaniard formerly of Sabadell, but it does mean that hopefully coming in during the course of the next couple of weeks will be Alex Jimenez from Paris FC. Now, to be fair, this will cost us 2.2 million, rising up to 3.2, but obviously if we get 3.5 there for Pau Fernandez, I'm hoping that someone might bid 4 million. but that's probably a bit unlikely. So Alex Jimenez will probably come in at some stage there as the replacement for Pau Fernandes. Overall, a little bit better, and actually better even than Ostojic, so would come in and be our first choice right back with the young Spaniard. So fingers crossed we can get that one across the line. Certainly a quite attacking wing back on that right hand side. Probably not ideal, as that's a side that we do use a wing back on support, but still attribute wise does look pretty well suited. So he come in and be our first choice right back if we can get that one over the line. And Fernandes indeed does want to join Mainz, who I think are well overpaying there with 3.5 million. And Moritz Buller, our deep lying forward indeed, has got frustrated at his lack of football. We suggested this might be the case off the back of burning off that 4-4-2. So he's currently under loan bid, and that is from Lugano. I dare say that he'll be making his way there at some stage over the next couple of weeks that we play through here in game. So a couple of moves that still could go through. But to be fair, I think we're looking pretty good going into the second half of the season with that situation strongly inside of the top three. So fingers crossed we can make the most of that. Unfortunately though, one issue we might have with that Buller deal is that Sandro Veloso has just picked up an injury, a twisted ankle, out for 2 to 5 weeks. So to be fair, not the ideal time to be trying to let go of him, but maybe we can bring up someone like Jarvis from our B team to fill in as our backup striker if we do need one, which we definitely will if we let go of Buller while this Veloso injury is taking place. I'm kind of hopeful that Buller deal might take a little while to go through so we can deal here with this Veloso injury for a couple more weeks, but unfortunately he is out. That is with a twisted ankle and won't be back until mid-February. But I'm pretty sure that's everything that we need to catch you guys up on before these two games in today's episode. First up, Greuther Fürth, who sit in 7th, backed up by Hannover, who do sit in 5th. These guys come with this one off back of a couple of wins and friendlies, but have been having a decent season. Now, this is a team that we tried the 4-4-2 against, and I think our second game this season, they went 2-0 up early, we went to the 4-2-3-1, and we came back and grabbed a draw. So this time, we are starting off with that 4-2-3-1, seeing as it helped in that early season game. Fingers crossed this time we go off to a good start and pick up all 3 points, and then we'll take on Hannover, one of those teams who are trying to chase us down in that 3rd spot currently. They sit in 5th though, so doing a little bit better than Greuther Fürth. They did draw Paderborn in their first game back from the winter break, so fingers crossed here can pick up some good results during the course of today's episode. But first up, it is this Greuther Fürth game away from home, so a little bit tricky, but a win here takes us up to 2nd, and it would be a pretty nice spot to be in too. 2 points clear of Mainz, and it would mean we'd then go 9 points clear of those teams in 4th, depending on what Heidenheim do with the game that they're also playing, I think, on this match day. So we could get here with a win, a really big gap, and kind of establish ourselves there as a team that should at least get the chance to make their way up to the Bundesliga next season, even though it might be through a promotion relegation game with the 3rd worst team in the Bundesliga, which to be fair isn't that far off being Borussia Dortmund. That would be a little bit unfair if that was the case, but for this game, it is our best 11. We do have Stollery at left wing. He's complained about game time during the course of the winter break, and to be fair, couldn't find a left winger better than him, so fingers crossed he might now actually start to find some form. Max Meyer did a pretty good job in the late part of that first half of the season before the winter break. Hopefully now Stollery is complaining about game time, he might step things up. But here at Greuther Fürth going with a 4-3-3. You'd like to think though, based on their form so far this season, this is a team that we can beat. As I said before, does seem like a decent gap between the top 3 teams and the rest. Fingers crossed during the course of today's episode we can grab a gap on those teams, and hopefully with only 16 and 15 games left off back of today's episode in the season, make sure we hold on to one and get the chance to go up to the Bundesliga next season, ideally as champions, but as long as it's the top 2, and we hopefully can avoid that promotion relegation game, seeing as it might actually be against Borussia Dortmund, depending on how the new manager gets on. That would be ideal, because that definitely would not be an ideal situation. We feel a bit robbed if we had to take on Dortmund instead of someone like Freiburg to try and make our way up to the Bundesliga. To be fair, would be kind of funny if it happened, but still not really what we want. But an early corner here, it is to Greuther Fürth. Say early, it's about 20 minutes in. They do get a shot off though through Shaun's sights, and we go 1-0 down. So definitely not the start we wanted here off the back of the winter break. To be fair, our friendly form it wasn't that good. Played 2 friendlies before he came back from this, a 3-2 win, and I think a 1-1 draw against some pretty average teams. So honestly, the form before coming back from this winter break was not too good. We did play our strongest team in those games, so I was a bit disappointed with how things went in those friendlies. Hopefully, that's just because our assistant manager is absolutely rubbish. So fingers crossed here, we can come back. To be fair, stats-wise, that's the only thing Greuther Fürth have done so far in this game, as Carlos Manrique does pick up a yellow card. Fingers crossed here we can find a way to level things up here before halftime, but he'll probably come off and that'll mean a debut for the bloke that was signed there from Derby going into the second half. But unfortunately, there's not much happening, albeit now Ostojic here is on the ball. He'll be looking to make the most here of his last couple of starts as the first choice right back if we bring in that signing from Paris FC. Nice ball forward there to Aaron Ramsey. What's he going to try and do? Should have really squared that. He took on the shot. Thankfully, Shaun palms it away, and Lewis Walden's there to poke that one home. So thankfully, our statistical dominance, you could kind of say, don't think we're super dominant, but certainly on the front foot. It does get rewarded here just before halftime. We make it 1-1. So at the very least, this would keep us level with Mines, but a win here would send us into one of those automatic promotion spots, and that's the situation at halftime. Definitely being the better team stats-wise, just not quite good enough in front of goal. It is fair to say now. Layden Stewart on a 6.4. Really don't want to take him off considering our options on the bench at the moment, but Collier can come on there and make his debut for the yellow-carded Carlos Manrique. I think, though, that's the only sub-mate going in to the second half. Looks like stats-wise, we're doing a decent job. Hopefully Stewart can pick things up in the second half. Maybe could chuck someone like Lewis Walden up front and bring on Greenwood at right wing. That's definitely something that we could do with the striker situation we do have currently. But yeah, ideally, we'd just leave Layden Stewart out there and he'd actually play well. Just debating there what we do with his individual talk there at halftime. We'll try and encourage him. We won't get too harsh on him yet, because to be fair, this season a lot better than his first one here at the club, and hopefully he can help us here from this first highlight of the second half. Go 2-1 in front, makes his way here inside the box. He goes down, no penalty, but Walden's there to tidy things up, so we keep the ball here inside of the final third. It somehow makes its way out there to Stollery with some help from the inside of the post. Can put that one away. To be fair, that's a pretty fortunate goal. Thought that ball there from Walden would get covered pretty safely from the Greuther Fürth defence, but thankfully they just let that one go all the way through to the goalkeeper, who punches it away, and Stollery, right place, right time, and gets some help there from the inside of the post. A great time for him to score his first goal of the season, seeing as now he wants to be that first choice left winger, and I do actually want to keep him because we couldn't find anyone better to replace him. So we'll make a sub here as Ruslan picks up a yellow card. Carstens can come on for him. Fingers crossed Ruslan does continue to do well. Obviously, if we don't get promoted, that release clause for him comes into effect come the start of next season. So really do want to go up to the Bundesliga at the end of the season. But now we'll take on some players here on Red Hut. So Dawn can come on there, or Sousa at left back, and also Charlie Allen or Aaron Ramsey in that central attacking midfield role. But thankfully, we do have a 2-1 lead as we make our way into the final half hour. That ball, not the greatest, but thankfully keep it there. Charlie Allen with some good work. Stewart plays that one out there to Walden. Down our right-hand side, good effort there from a tight angle, but the goalkeeper does come up there with a good save. It's still only 2-1 in front, but certainly off the back of that opening goal we conceded, we have looked quite good. Carstens there tries to put that one away, but unfortunately can't quite do it. Ruslan, that one straight at the goalkeeper, and now with our final sub, Pal Fernandez, for what might be one of his last appearances here in a Jahn Regensburg shirt. He can come on there at right back. Fingers crossed he isn't thinking yet about helping out Mines, because that definitely could be an issue. We might just drop him completely if he makes sure that we bottle this, because that definitely is something that we don't want. Now, Carstens picks up a yellow card, but we've made our way through with the final 10 minutes time for us here to start time wasting just a little bit. Let's slow the pace down as well. Try and make sure that these guys can't get a late chance here in this game. But fingers crossed we hold on and pick up 3 points, which would see us go up to second before that Hanover game. And that could be quite big. Try and extend that gap on those teams outside of the top 3. On the attacking, quite similar to the Walden ball from earlier this time. Don't score from it, but we are back on the attack. Walden quite fortunate to get that ball there off of Oppie, but puts it away, makes it 3-1. Should definitely be 3 points for us here, and moving up to second on these Vibe Bundesliga tables. So thankfully, looks like we'll come from 1-0 down here to pick up a win. Bullitt, a nice ball there. He does get a foot on it there, does Oppie, but thankfully Walden is able to track that nicely and put it away with a first time finish past their goalkeeper at the near post. 3-1. We will still time waste late here.
Yeah.
And especially now, because Charlie Allen is injured, going to be playing late here with only 10 men on the field. So it's time waste quite frequently. I think, though, that might be all we need to do. We'll see how things go here as we make our way into added time. However much that is, there's going to be 6 minutes. And Greuther Fürth, they do have a throw. Fingers crossed they don't get screwed by this injury that has happened late on. And David Otto will put that one away. I suppose that makes up for that Stollery goal set up by Walden. But now, let's actually start to time waste properly here in this game. Our wingbacks, they can go on to support. Actually, might not be the worst idea to chuck them onto fullbacks instead. And also, let's pull back our wingers onto support as well. So let's go here a little bit lower tempo and just be a bit more defensive with those roles that we are using. Obviously a bit worried now that we're down to 10 men otherwise, felt like we had this game pretty well under control. But unfortunately that goal, as I said before, kind of similar to the Stollery one, just that one hasn't been parried away by our goalkeeper Lukic, actually not going that well on a 6.4. But thankfully it looks like our time wasting tactics, they have worked. Entertaining game there in our first one back from the winter break. We'll take that 3 points there away from home against Greuther Fürth. Walden picked up a double and did help set up that goal, which Stollery did score with some help from the inside of the post of Walden there with a good performance at right wing. He'll probably pick up man of the match for us there, but that's a very important 3 points as you saw earlier. That will mean we move up to second before that Hanover game, at least come the end of this match day. Depends on if Mines, they played before us there on that one where we do take on Hanover. But that is a good result. We are now in a quite nice patch of form here at Jahn Regensburg. To be fair, some of those results do come from friendlies. Not too sure if they should be included. Indeed, we've moved up to second, only 2 points off Nuremberg and 9 points clear of Heidenheim and Hanover, who we take on in our next match. And we've gone for just under a week, and it's time for us here to take on Hanover in a second versus fifth clash. Thankfully, we are still second because Mines, as you'll see shortly, they have dropped points. They drew with Kaiserslautern, so still above them. Nuremberg take on Heidenheim tomorrow. That's a tricky game for those guys. So to be fair, us and them have got some quite similar games. So fingers crossed here, if we can pick up a win, maybe Heidenheim can kind of do us a favour, albeit that would then mean that gap does stay at 9 points. But to be fair still, with how short this 2 Bundesliga season is, that is quite a nice buffer. Also, Charlie Allen, that injury he suffered in the previous game, quite serious. He's out for 7 weeks. So I've actually hopefully managed to secure a signing of someone to come in and actually be a bit of an upgrade on him with that spare money that we should get from the Pal Fernandez sale once it goes through, because unfortunately that is not the case yet, but it is the same team that we put out for that when we did pick up their over Greuther Fürth there at Hanover. They are going to go with a 4-3-3, and if we can pick up a win here, we'll briefly go top of the table. As I said, depends what Heidenheim can do for us, hopefully a favour as they take on Nuremberg. So a couple of interesting games coming up here on this match day, already guaranteed to keep ourselves in one of those top 2 spots. We'll make our way into the first 10 minutes. This one at home, so quite hopeful we will pick up here a good result, despite the fact Hanover do look like a slightly better team than Greuther Fürth. Thankfully, the first chance for the opposition there is quite long range and never really that threatening. With the good press there, we did put on the shooter, so thankfully that's not a very high percentage chance. We keep it 0-0 here, and now on the attack we've got a throw in here down our left hand side just past 20 minutes, and Stollery, who got on the score sheet in that previous game, will find there a Stojic down our right hand side. Nice ball in there. I think that was for Stewart, but his shot does get blocked, but it does mean now a chance here from set piece. Fingers crossed can pick up Ruslan here at the near post. We do, heads into the ground and picked up his 5th goal this season. He is doing quite well from these set pieces, which to be fair, didn't work that well back at Buxton, but certainly doing the job here for our big Georgian centre back. So thankfully, our first real attack of this game, and we take a 1-0 lead. So this could be a pretty big win for us. Might see us go top here of the table. It was there a throw-in for Hanover, thankfully, just do enough there to get that ball back, albeit here. Just making around here at the back to think there we could try and get something going down our right-hand side. To be fair though, Sousa out left, not the worst idea. That pass a little bit off, but Ramsey can get it back for us, fingers crossed. Doesn't get injured, might be a little bit weak in central attacking midfield. If that is the case, long range effort there, that might have been from Ostojic, but decent save there from the Hanover goalkeeper, but certainly getting on the front foot here in this game. The goalkeeper punches that one away. Brown here will try and get something going for Hanover on the counter-attack, but thankfully we can keep that in check. But certainly now, as we make our way to the half-hour mark in this game, well and truly on the front foot, just hopefully can make this 2-0 before half-time. I might get a chance here with a throw inside of the final third. Manrique plays that back to Ramsey. Bullets, nice short passing from us here. Ramsey will find Stuart Sousa out to Stollery. Tight angle, takes on the shot. It comes off the woodwork. Try and float that one far post. Unfortunately, it gets headed away. Not too sure if Stollery should have actually taken the shot there. Probably should have tried to square that. But to be fair, did score in that previous game. Might have his confidence a bit high off the back of that. But today, he's not going that well on a 6.4. So maybe we take him off here at halftime. And also, Racine Bullock on a yellow card. To Garcia can come on for him. And Max Meyer for Stollery while he's gone back to being a little bit useless. So we'll make those two subs there at halftime. But pretty happy with how we're going. Just again, a little bit frustrating that we haven't picked up a second goal before the half. Definitely feels like we take a wee while to kick into games here with our tactic with the Jahn Regensburg team. Albeit I say that straight from the get-go on the attack here in the second half, making our way here into the final third. Aaron Ramsey, tight angle, cuts inside, but beats the goalkeeper at his near post. So thankfully, what I was about to talk about there with us not putting the foot down in the first half until about a half hour in, doesn't look like going to prove too costly today. We take a 2-0 lead right off the back of halftime. Ramsey, some wonderful work from him here on the ball, and thankfully can beat Beckhouse there at his near post. And we've got that cushion goal we were looking for a decent chunk there of that first half. So certainly looking quite good here coming off the back of the winter break. And now a thrown inside of the final third. Walden plays that back to Ostojic, looking there for Meyer at the far post. Can't find him, but do get that ball back. Loose ball though, and Hanover with a chance on the counter-attack. Thankfully, they pump that one deep, and Ruslan can get us back here on the ball and into the opposition half. Ostojic will pick out Walden, plays it for there for Aaron Ramsey. An interesting save there from the goalkeeper. I think it might have come off his wrist. Walden, good tracking back there with that tackle, and Hubner picks up a yellow card, but unfortunately can't quite make it 3-0. But while we're here, we'll take off Hubner on that yellow card. Now Carstens is suspended for this game, so Pavasic will come off the bench in that left centre back role. Is coming back from a recent injury, a bit concerning, but apparently he's good to play. So fingers crossed here we don't break him while we do have this 2-0 lead. Does seem like a pretty safe situation to bring him on now. Ruslan picks up a yellow card as well. We'll see what we do with that. Ideally, we'll leave him out there. We do still have two subs left, and it is now Leighton Stewart. Not going that well on a 6.5. What we might do is not bring on Jarvis, but actually bring on Greenwood and chuck Wallen up front, as I suggested before that first game. Might not be the worst idea while we've got these injuries to our other strikers, and of course Buller, who has now left the club with that loan situation. So that, it does mean we're a little bit light at the moment in striker with that Veloso injury, but Greenwood on the ball here for us. Hopefully can put this one to bed and make it 3-0. Good work there from Ostojic to find Greenwood. Will float that one far post. And unfortunately, can't quite find someone, but Sousa is back on the ball. We'll square this for Lewis Walden, the chance magnet, and Lino Sousa makes it 3-0. While we're here now, I think we're going to make our final sub. Let's take off Ramsey and bring on Jarvis, who, to be fair, can do a decent job there in central attacking midfield. Obviously, with that Allen injury, I think that might be a bit more of a priority even than striker. So Jarvis there can come on for Aaron Ramsey, who's having a quite good game, but Sousa continues to create tons of goals for us here, even off the back of the winter break. He's now going to be sitting on a pretty good rating for this game, but this is a pretty nice walk in the park for us here at home on this match day. It might see us potentially go top of the table, but so far Sousa, with all 3 assists, he is an absolute blinder and about to make our way to the final 10 minutes of this game. We try and get on the attack again there from a throw, but that pass is not too good. Bookman will get off a shot. It's not too convincing there from Lukic, but thankfully just as enough to keep that one out the back of the net. And only a few minutes later, we're trying to make our way here out from back. And again, though, not a great clearance. So Hanover are on the attack. Velicic there is on the ball. Pull that one across there for Bookman. Some good work there from one of our defenders to block that one. So there's some chances here late in this game for Hanover to try and make this 3-1 and get this interesting, much like Greuther Fürth did in that previous game that we did play once we went down to 10 men. Now, I think there, Lukic might be spared from a pretty big shocker he's had there, not coming out to claim that one, because the assistant referee definitely put their flag out, but the goal's been awarded. So not too sure there what the AR is doing. We'll see it here on the replay. Once the goal scored, Lukic, no idea what he's doing, but the flag definitely goes up. So I thought that was offside, apparently not. So while we're here, we better start time wasting just a little bit, quite similar to what we did in that previous game. Hopefully make sure this one doesn't get too close like that previous one was. Don't want another 3-2 ideally. Might actually boost up our goal differential here just a little bit more than we did in that previous game. So time for us here to time waste frequently and lower that tempo. And also, let's chuck our wing backs here onto fullbacks on support. Do think that's quite useful late on in games. Also, let's chuck Managerial there onto defend in that midfield. And hopefully, that might just stop any chance Hanover have here of trying to make this interesting late on. But there is 5 minutes of added time. They do pick up a yellow card, and it looks like that might be all the action from this game. Indeed, it is. To be fair, that was a relatively comfortable win. They did grab one back late there through Bookman, a little bit of a howler there from Lukic, but a good game there, especially from Lino Sousa, who picked up all 3 assists, the goals there to Ignatjev, as well as to Walden and Aaron Ramsey. And as you can see for now, that does mean we go top of the table. So go forward and see how Nuremberg get on in that Heidenheim game. Part of me wants them to actually win, because then that would definitely lock us in, you'd think, to a top 3 spot and a chance to go up to the Bundesliga next season, but also would be quite nice to hold on the top spot in the league. So a couple of big wins for us there during the course of today's episode against decent teams there just outside of that top 3. And that gap now is quite big, because as you'll see there on the left-hand side, Nuremberg picked up a 1-0 win over Heidenheim away from home. So it does mean that we drop down to second, but 4 points clear of Mainz in one of those automatic promotion spots. But more important, we've got 10 points on Eintracht Braunschweig, who sit outside of that promotion relegation game in the Bundesliga, and the goal differential as well, it is quite big too. So I think we're looking quite good for at least a top 3 finish here this season with Jahn Regensburg. But fingers crossed we can hold on to one of these top 2 spots and go up automatically. I think these days at Borussia Dortmund are quite safe. Indeed they are, but still would be quite nice to avoid someone like Stuttgart or Freiburg or Cologne. St. Pauli, not too sure of mind that if they can make their way up there as they were down here last season, but ideally we hold on to a top 2 spot and don't have to worry about any playoffs. But I think that will do it for today's episode. There's an injury update as well. Charlie Allen out for 3 to 5 weeks and below, so 8 days to 3 weeks. So it does mean currently a little bit light in striker and central attacking midfield, but fingers crossed we'll find ways to sort that out soon with the extra money we should get from the Pau Fernandes deal. But hopefully you guys enjoyed that one off the back of the winter break. If you did, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. Now, what we come back for in tomorrow's episode, in a couple of games time, I can see it there in the top right corner, the 9th of Feb, we take on Mainz. That could be a massive game if we can beat them. That could firmly establish ourselves as a top 2 team for this season. So we'll come back for that off the back of Magdeburg and Paderborn. Really 2 games that we should be picking up points in. And then we might go forward and also take on Fortuna Düsseldorf. They're not a bad team, and that one's away from home. So we'll come back for those 2 away games tomorrow. That Mainz one, absolutely massive. And also there might be a bit more transfer news that we do have as well. So until then, thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.